Hi everyone, we are Group 8 including 5 people, Lê Hoàng Anh, Nguyễn Việt Hoàng, Hoàng Thị Yến, Vũ Thị Thanh Thủy, and Nguyễn Đặng Phương Trà. Today, we'll focus on conversation analysis in specific accordance with floor, turn-taking, overlap, pause and back channels, TRP, high involvement, adjacency pairs, and preference structure. One typical example we choose in this video to demonstrate those mentioned elements is a romantic film called One Day. The film talks about two main characters named Emma and Dexter who meet each other on the night of their university graduation. The girl Emma is smart, but success doesn't come quickly, whereas Dexter's success comes very easily. Through the years, they grow apart as their lives take different directions, and they meet other people, but finally, they find that they belong to each other. Come to the first section, we'll mention the definition of concepts in conversation structure. After that, we analyze whether they exist in dialogues in this film and lead to their communicative purposes. The first concept is floor. Adelsky refers that the concept of the floor correlates with the acknowledged what's going on within the psychological time. But basically, floor can be easily defined as the current right to speak. Next, another element we'll mention is turn-taking. Having control of the right to speak at any time is called a turn, but where this control is not fixed in advance, anyone can attempt to get control. This is turn-taking. Turn-taking is a basic form of organization of a conversation. It begins with one person speaking and continues as speaker giving up control to the next person. The second speaker now has the conversational floor. When the speaker finished, they can give control back to another speaker. It means taking, holding, and relinquishing speaking floor. While turn-taking in talk is a manner of politeness, overlap seems to lead to a serious problem in conversation. Thus far, overlap has simply been seen as the case of where more than one speaker talking at the same time in conversation, because it's a kind of interruption. Overlap doesn't operate in accordance with a set of conventions for getting turns, keeping them, or giving them away, and may violate the current speaker's turn.
The fifth element of conversation structure is pause and back-channel signal. According to Nagin, pauses are silence that occur within a single turn. In sociolinguistics, an introduction to language and society, the author, Peter Chow, shows that there are even rules about silence. It has been said that in a conversation between two English speakers who are not close friends, a silence of longer than 4 seconds is not allowed, which means that people become embarrassed if nothing is said after that time. They feel obliged to say something, even if it is only a remark about the weather. The last element is transition-relevant place. We haven't seen that informal conversations are highly coordinated events that are said to be managed on a turn-by-turn basis. The role of speaker and listener constantly alternate, as one conversation partner or another undertakes the task of acting as a current speaker or the current listener. Each point in the ongoing conversation at which a turn of talk passes from one participant to another usually occurs at what is known as transition relevant place or TRP. That is to say, transition relevant places are junctures at which the turn of talk could legitimately pass from one speaker to another. There are two conversational styles. The first one is high involvement. In high involvement conversation, people tend to talk and interrupt more. They expect to be interrupted. They talk more loudly and quickly than those from culture favoring high considerateness styles. Many high involvement speakers enjoy arguments and might even think that others are not interested if they are not ready to engage in a heated discussion. While in high considerateness conversation, People tend to speak one at a time, use polite listening styles, and refrain from interrupting. Moreover, they usually give plenty of positive and respectful responses to their conversation partner.
There are many automatic patterns in the structure of conversation. These automatic sequences are called adjacency. They always consist of a first part and a second part, produced by different speakers. The utterance of a first part immediately creates an expectation of utterance of a second part of the same pair. One vital component of conversation analysis is preference structure. So what is it? Well, let's put it this way. Generally, when you greet someone, like saying hello to someone, what do you expect in his or her response? Yeah, you can expect hi or hello in return. Why? Because it's more likely for the response to be hi or hello other than something different. In other words, you prefer the response to be hi or hello as well. This is called preference. Preference structure divides the second part of an adjacency pair into preferred and dispreferred, like this. Now, let's look at one of the scenes in the movie.
I've never been abroad.
What? Don't be ridiculous.
It's true. A fortnight in a caravan in Whitby, drinking a cup of soup with Dad and trying not to kill Mum. I can't believe I'm actually here with you.
What?
Hmm?
What?
We were at university. I've always spoke you. I had a crush on you. Yeah, ridiculous, I know. But when we almost did it that night, I couldn't believe it. Wrote poems and everything. What have you got to say to that?
Well, I already knew.
What do you mean you knew?
Well, I sort of guessed.
Hmm?
Those, epic letters and compilation tapes. So go on then, what happened?
I got to know you. You cured me of you.
I still like to read those poems. What rhymes with Dexter?
Prick is a half rhyme. Oh, too much wine. We should go.
Oh, no, not yet, not yet. Listen, let's go for a walk.
So this is it.
It's lovely. Hello, what's going on here?
Well, I thought we'd go for a quick swim. Sober us up.
Ah, I get it. I've walked right into it, haven't I? You get a girl drunk and lead her to a large body of water.
Oh, come on in. Be spontaneous. Be reckless. Live for the moment. Come on, Em. Get in.
No!
You're such a prude. Why are you such a prude? Come on.
Oh. You could at least leave your underpants on. Rule number 3, remember?
Come on.
What meant to do? Sort of, walk about, smash you or something? That's a very serious face. You're not having a wee, are you?
No, I just wanted to say that... Well, I felt the same. After our near miss. I mean, I didn't write poems or anything. I'm not insane. You know, I thought about you. I think about you. You and me.
There are 3 noticeable times in the clip demonstrating clearly about the flaw. The first 2 times are Emma's flaws. Here's the girl's flaw by giving explanation. The girl not only claims that she has not been abroad, but she also reminds of the miserable period of life when she has to spend 4 nights in caravan in Whitby drinking cup of soup with dad and trying not to kill mom. This is still the girl's flaw. The girl keeps sharing the secretive thing about the passionate feeling towards the boy in the previous time when they were at university. The girl shows the embarrassment when talking about what they almost did that night. It's also the memorable time that inspires her to write a lot of poems. The boy and the girl take transition in their conversation, that each one takes control of the right to speak in order to take, maintain, and relinquish the content of the dialogue. In particular instances, the boy said, "Well, I already knew." The girl replied by asking, "What do you mean you knew?" as a curiosity for the boy's intention to speak out. To be continued, the boy wants to get control of the floor by saying the reason why he knew that the girl had a crush on him. "Well, I sort of guessed on those epic letters and compilation tapes," and maintained the conversation by asking again, "So go on then, what happened?" These parts of the clips are rather short of politeness. Both the boy and the girl act with tactful manner. Also, there is no overlap in these ones. It means that the girl has already completed her turn. The boy continues then. It demonstrates that both of them have the certain respect to each other.
Serves me right for not changing the locks. Looking good, Ian.
Oh, you can get stuffed, Emma.
Is that from your act?
No, though I have got this new thing I've been working on. I come on, and I say, here's a funny story, all like this.
Ian.
There's this guy, and he's going out with this girl, and he worships her, and they buy this flat together. And then he gets her an engagement ring, the lot. It turns out that she is still in love with her best friend.
Interesting theory, Ian, except I've not seen Dexter for ages.
No?
But that is not the reason.
Do you know how
Ian...
he found out about it? He read it in her poetry.
You bastard! Get
Oh, graduation night! The erotic intensity of the shared bed! That magic weekend France is all here! In blank first on it from a Hayaka and Limerick!
Call the police!
Call the bloody police! It's my flat too!
Is it? I paid the mortgage. You just sat around farting and watching the bloody Wrath of Khan.
You love the Wrath of Khan.
I hate the Wrath of Khan.
In this dialogue, Ian jokes Emma by reminding of the time in the university when Emma and Dexter nearly fall in love with each other. In addition, Ian intentionally used Emma's poem to play trick on her. Right when Ian speaks out loud the first sentence, Emma immediately overlaps to force him to give it back to her. Ian's flaw, the erotic intensity of the shared bed, and Emma's give me back, come at the same time. Emma feels that she needs to get a time to interrupt what Ian says due to the fact that it makes her shy. Ian seems to neglect what Emma threatens, then continues reading out loud the next part of the poem. The magic week in France is on here in blank verse. If you ever come in here again. In this very time, Emma shouts out, "I will call the police," as threatening act in an even higher level. It means that they both speak at the same time. It also expresses that they have a close-knit relationship with each other so that they can give their right to speak naturally and comfortably without breaking any principles.
Now, let's look at one of the scenes in the movie.
I'm doing an open mic tonight. Interested at the House of Laughs, LAFFS. It's not the date or anything. I mean, you've probably got a boyfriend anyway.
Ian, I'd love to come, but after work, I like to head home.
So, what is Ian doing here in the first part? He's trying to ask the girl out. However, he thinks the girl would probably refuse, so he revised his first part to avoid a dispreferred response. He justifies his invitation by telling it's not a date or anything, because he's afraid if the girl thinks he's asking out, she would not agree. So how does she respond? As you have just seen, she refuses. However, it's noticeable that there is a pause of 2.5 seconds before she speaks, followed by a token yes, and finally an account for refusal. So why does she do that? Why not just a no? It's because she wants to show that she's not willing to say what she is saying. First, the pause shows her hesitation for refusing. Next, the token yes shows her appreciation of the invitation, and then an account is presented to explain what prevents her from accepting the invitation. So, instead of just saying no, there is various ways to do a dispreferred response, as Emma just did.
Now, let's grab up information about conversation analysis. First, there are 6 elements of a conversation structure and 2 conversational styles, which are high involvement and high consideration style. Second, a unit of conversation is an adjacency pair. Last but not least, we also know what preferred and dispreferred structure is. Thank you for watching our video and goodbye.